Hello my friends! In parallel with the work on the sound, I undertook in 2009 a new version of the large painting more in line with the rest of the room. But after a while, I realized, while starting a new version of the central part, that I could stretch the canvas further by alternating layers of white spray paint and polyurethane varnish, which produce an even better sound. The canvas thus becomes a sort of giant drum, or rather, as it is an audiophile system, a gigantic passive speaker. As soon as I understood the phenomenon, I extrapolated it to the luminous acoustic panels on the walls, which confirmed the accuracy of the diagnostic with a more enveloping and dynamic sound. On the other hand, the connection and rereading of the book that I undertook brought back to my mind details of the book of Revelation that I had forgotten or allowed me certain understandings that not appeared to me before. I therefore decided that this version would only be the sketch of the one I hope will be the ultimate, which this leaves me with a freer mind to undertake the tests that would arrive in my head without taking into account the transparency necessary for the lamp of the light gaze. For years, I had been dissatisfied with the painted ray coming out of the central painting that had appeared to me in visions. I didn't find them bright enough, but didn't see how to solve this difficulty. The idea came to me to glue strips of metallic and shiny adhesive. I bought a sheet that I cut into thin strips and applied them to the painted shells. The visual result was very spectacular. When I lit with the projectors and an effect I did not expect, the sound seemed enhanced. So I came up with the idea of outlining the design of the large gold painted door by using different colors of this adhesive to further connect the painting to the room. The composition was transformed in a very spectacular way, and the sound presence considerably increased. But, as always, another flaw in the sound was highlighted. An annoying interference appeared that I identified as coming from the lamps inside the painting, as well as the plastic cups controlling the lights. Had already tried varnishes that had brought a slight improvement, but not enough now. I then thought of attaching small pieces of flexible, transparent plastic in front or on top. I went to a nearby bazaar and stocked up on what is mostly sold as 5-cm thick tablecloth. The improvement was obvious, and when I used my first purchase, I went back to get plastic. There was no more. I had to run from one store to another, nothing to do. Everything was offered is too thin. But as I didn't want to wait for the hypothetical restocking, I consulted the Sky Supplier's catalog just in case. Finally, a pleasant surprise. Not only were there some available, but also 8/10 free that I was eager to try. This is much better. This makes me remove and change the previous thickness. In the meantime, I decided to cover all the projectors in the room with a thick, transparent and flexible plastic sheet in order to remove all the hard reflective surface except the central mirror ball. The sound is better and better, but making it apparent that the metallic adhesive strip stuck on the painting if they bring a greater presence, give a certain harmness in the sound. I decide to remove them, but some glue remained in their places and the sound presence had decreased. What to do? At least cover the glue and restore the shine of the metallic. I ran through all the solutions that come to mind in my head, then go to the various stores to explore what I can find. I'm trying gold glitter nail polish, but what seemed like a good idea is proving too difficult to apply with too few choices. Then, continuing to browse, I discovered tubes of glitter gels in various colors to apply accordance in relief to the rule. I am a little worried about this relief, especially since the glitter, once the gel has dried, is a little rough. But it works visually, it's satisfying, and I find the sonic presence of the metallic stripes. I use a lot of these tubes, and when I go back to the store to get some silver gel, I see disappointed that they're out and I have to wait several days. I hate being stopped in my tracks and start grumbling. Try this one, the salesman said to me, but it's for fabric. Not only, it's all on to everything. I take this advice and try it. It looks much better because the glitter is coated in a gel that stays soft and smooth when dry. So I'm removing the rough glitter one and replacing it with this one. In the evening, while listening concentrated in the dark, I realized that these spangled chords form a kind of instrumental string innet on the drum head that is the canvas of the painting. The logic that guides my brains makes me want to reproduce the same design in glittery gel chords on the 7 luminous acoustic panels hung on the wall of the extension. Soon, an 8th will be installed as a ceiling light. The surrounding presence increases again. I remind you that this particular design comes from the relationship I discovered between music, light, and electronics specified by my analysis of the book of Revelation and some of my visions. Afterwards, I got the ideas or the inspiration to fill in the gaps between the chords by applying another type of glitter gel with a brush that I had discovered at the same time as the gel tubes. The result is still improved, and I have to go back to the stores frequently to get supplies. The funny thing about this is that I had to shop in the children's department with a disadvantage, which made me travel over Paris, that outside of back to school and holiday periods, this department is not very well stocked. Remembering a fluorescent paint I had used previously that had shiny and seemed to produce an interesting effect, I also tried a glossy varnish applied with a sponge on the fluorescent part of the center evoking trees. I then find this composition of flowers of paradise, which had obsessed me a dozen years before and that I had exposed in the short-lived gallery Fumica. But instead of being done in a long and difficult way with paint, in a few minutes it is there. Invisible in ordinary light, it only appears under the glare of a spotlight. This brings to fore the aspect of the painting depending on the lighting, not to mention the multitude of images in light generated by the music. Depending on the attention paid to it, this composition may well evoke a long curl up on itself, represented in a naive or childish manner, which confirmed John's visions. Moreover, it also has a positive effect on the sound, so much so that I reproduced the application of this varnish on the other panels. This use of varnish and glitter was dictated to me alternated by the eye and by the ear, which was the final judge, and also by external circumstances arriving at the right time. Coincidence? The use of glitter continued on everything vibrant in the room, then on all the walls. The sound became grandiose, like my ecstasies. But I found it a little hard to throw. Finally, I managed to remove all the defects after the 19th version to what I naively believed. To achieve sales, I painted several more versions of the large painting of the Gate of Ecstasy, and even more of the central part where the heavenly Jerusalem stands, experimenting each time with new, more or less bizarre solutions. So I applied glitter everywhere, even on the seats. Obviously, had to remove them with even more trouble. While pulling glitter gel coat off the large painting and panels of the wall surrounding the room, I got severe tendinite with ligament rupture in my left hand. The pain lasted for 7 months, and medicines could not do anything about it.